Yep, I'm ready.
Yeah, that just kind of brings it.
All right, we will call to order the Board of Education special meeting. It's Monday, February 23rd, 5:30 p.m. The Board of Education makes available at least one current copy of the Open Meetings Act, which is posted on the west wall of the meeting room and accessible to members of the public. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Can I have your votes, please? And we will do a roll call vote. Danielle, you want to call?
BJ?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Doris?
Aye.
Eric Trusty?
Aye.
Janet? Aye. Eric Book?
Aye.
Charles?
Motion passes. Next up, public forum for comments. I did not receive any requests for speaking tonight, so we'll move on to the action portion. First up, discuss, consider, and take all necessary action with regard to approving an engineer agreement for design, construction, and administration of a new HVAC system serving the middle school gymnasium. No motion, so where do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of this school district should and does hereby approve the selection of Engineering Technologies Incorporated as engineers for purposes of design and construction administration of a new HVAC system serving the gymnasium in the middle school facility located at 215 North 5th Street, Beatrice, Nebraska, and further hereby approves an engineer agreement with the above-named engineer in the form on file with official school district records and as presented at this meeting or with such changes as are deemed necessary and in the best interest of the school district and approved by the board president or superintendent of schools, and further hereby authorizes, directs, and delegates to the board president, superintendent of schools, or designee of either to sign, execute, and deliver the engineer agreement, any documents called for in the engineer agreement, any amendments to such engineer agreement, to pay the engineer fees and reimbursable expenses, and to take all other action necessary to carry such architect agreement into effect.
All right, thank you, Doris, for the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Jason.
Okay, so, to explain all of that, essentially, where we are with the whole, implementation of an HVAC system in the gymnasium of the middle school is, in order to do that, we have got to have an engineer stamp on the project because it's going to exceed the state statute requirement of $136,000. Initially, didn't really know if it would or not, got some professional opinions, and it turns out that it is going to exceed that. So in order to proceed with the project, we have to get the drawings from an engineer. Because there's really no structural changes to the building, we don't need architectural design. We just need engineering design that will draw the HVAC unit and how it hooks into the gas lines and the electrical lines and fit into the gymnasium and all that stuff, and then we'll work. So it has to be engineered. Essentially, working with, and we can select anybody for that, doesn't have to be bid out or anything like that. Talking with legal counsel who helped us through the elementary building project, Derek Aldridge with Perry Law Firm, who we use for most of our things like this. He just kind of went through some different, made some recommendations of some different companies. We looked at ETI. They have a long-standing history of working with school districts, so and do a lot of these types of projects. They were willing to take it on, so we've been working with them. And basically, the document that we're referencing in terms of the contract is an AIA document, which is an architectural engineer contractual agreement. It's about 30-some pages long. So to hit some highlights for you, again, I've asked Perry Law Firm to go through this and work with us to get it to a point where ETI agrees to it, and they have agreed to it. We've agreed to kind of a price as to what it's going to take for them to draw and design the HVAC system. make the recommendations, come up with the specifications so we could go out to bid. And so that's where we are. So some highlights, we as the owners, have a preliminary estimate, which we know is over the $136,000 at this point, and needs to be, designed and drawn by an engineer. That rep is Marty Castle from ETI, and he's capable of providing these services for us. They are responsible for carrying the engineered insurance necessary, the coverage and fees, so that's in the contract, that's their responsibility. Since there are no, and I mentioned before, there are no structural changes, we don't need an architect to do this. Compensation for the design, drawings, and overseeing of the work. In other words, what the agreement is in here is $18,500 for ETI to come up with that design, which has all been done, by the way, at this point, it's all been done. Reimbursables, those are things like charges for copies, mailings, whatever those types of reimbursables might be, are not to exceed, trips down from Lincoln are not to exceed $2,000, or they have to be approved by me, and if they exceed 5,000, then they would have to be approved by you. So to oversee the project, reimbursable are not to exceed $2,000. Mileage is, of course, at the government rate of 75 cents a mile. If bids come in too high, and this is kind of where we're at in the project now, we had the pre-bid construction meeting on Thursday, so an advertisement went out in the newspaper, and companies could request the specifications that have been drawn by ETI, and they could come to the pre-bid meeting on last Thursday at 2 o'clock. We had 3 companies show up. Now they will return those, they have a chance to look at those those specifications. They'll return their bids, and we'll get those, and I'll go over the timeline. And then you as a board will be able to look at those bids. We'll bring those to you at the March board meeting. And if they come in too high, then we have to ask ourselves a couple questions. What went awry? Why is it so much higher than maybe we thought it was gonna be? Do we want to continue with the project? Do we need to go back to the drawing board? So, but all that's in process now. So as I mentioned, where we're at is the pre-bid meeting was last Thursday. Bids are due back March 11th. Is that right?
I think March 9th is our.
I think this is, I grabbed the wrong one. The bids are due back March 5th, so they can make the March board meeting, and then, May 18th is designed for the date that they can access and start, because school's out and then, July 31st would be the deadline for substantial completion. So, those are kind of the timelines. Now, given everything works out that way, we're done before school starts next year. But obviously that's best case scenario, no hangups with supplies or anything like that. So tonight, what you're basically doing is okaying the contract with ETI that for the drawings that they've already done, so we could get out to bid and get this done. If you decide that at the next meeting that the bids are too high, and we'd have to go back to the drawing board, or we don't wanna do the project, then we're still responsible for a portion of of those costs. And there's a schedule of that within this contract as well, so.
Any questions, comments?
Hope that all makes sense. It's a lot better than digging through this, so tried to just hit the highlights and pull them together for you.
Okay. If there's no questions, can I have your votes, please?
Doris,
Yes.
Eric Trustee,
Aye.
Janet,
Yes.
Eric Book,
Aye.
Charles,
Aye.
BJ,
Aye.
Aaron.
Aye.
All right, so motion passes. Do I have a motion to adjourn the special meeting?
Jeepers. I move that the Board of Education of District 15 adjourn.
All right, we have a motion, do I have a second? Second by Eric. Your votes, please.
Janet, Eric Eric Book,
Aye.
Charles,
Aye.
BJ,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Doris,
Yes.
Eric Trustee.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Aye, Captain.
Next meeting.
Call to order the Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting for Monday, February 23rd, 2026. The Board of Education makes available at least one current copy of the Open Meetings Act, which is posted on the west wall of the meeting room and accessible to members of the public. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that the Board of Education, District 15, approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First on the agenda is the school wellness policy 5417 triennial review with Dr. Nielsen.
Perfect. So in front of you, you have both the policy and the regulation of 5417. Through this review, we had to go through our policy and make sure that it still meets what the federal government says we need to meet. I will tell you, our policy is wonderful, it's very thorough, and it has all the information we need to have in there. So I really want to focus on the goals. Focus on what are we doing for wellness, and we did this review 3 years ago. Every 3 years, we will come back with how are we working at our goals, what are we looking at doing. So you can see on this little flyer, our 2023 to 2026 goals are, the first one was to really just increase that exposure of offering a variety of foods for our students. I will tell you that is becoming a little bit more difficult as prices of foods increase. So that is one thing that we will continue to do, but it is becoming more difficult as those fruits and vegetables become more expensive. Number 2, increase the student participation during physical education courses and provide education to help them increase their active movement throughout their lessons, throughout their classrooms. This is one of the things that in talking with our PE teachers, we need to continue to find ways to address this, and they have worked on being as creative as possible. But that active movement in physical education is one of the ways that we want to promote that student wellness. The other goal that we really worked on, and we are in year 2, is having a site-based mental health therapist on staff. And I will tell you this year, Blue Valley, Amber Ferguson was one of our psychologists that came around and did a lot of work with our middle school and high school. She has been relocated to Lincoln, and so we have access to one person through Blue Valley rather than 2. We have lost services. So we have Carlina Grove at the elementary that started last year there as a school-based mental health therapist, and we are paying for her out of the Stronger Community Connections grant, which is a 2-year grant, so this is the end of it. She's also started this year seeing middle school and high school students. She's added that piece to her plate. We do have mental health services through Nebraska Mental Health, but that is for special education. So our students that, general education students cannot access that, and their caseloads are also very full as well too. The other thing that we know that I had a parent in my office the other night, Beatrice Community Hospital has a 3-month waiting time period. So there is a need. And this is one of those things that I will tell you, I've been in conversations with Mr. Trusty and Beatrice Community Hospital to see how can we continue this on past year 2. Because I do think it's something that we absolutely need to do. So those are our 3-year goals. Those goals we've done a lot of work towards and we've seen a lot of improvements, but again, it's how do we continue to sustain all of those pieces as we move forward. So looking at then the future, what are the goals that we want to pick up? Number 1, we want to just continue to increase movement in 100% of our classrooms. We know when you get students up and moving and actively engaged in the learning process, their brains start to their brains wake up, number one, but they also become more engaged in the learning process. So that is our goal, and that can happen in multiple ways and multiple formats. Number 2 and number 3 really focus on making sure that we include the public, and we let the public know what we are doing, because we have some great things going on, but I don't think we share a lot of what we're doing for staff wellness, for student wellness, and so we want to continue to share that. And then as we look at our wellness committee meetings, there's sometimes that there's other things that take precedence, and so we maybe don't have those as timely as we should. So we want to make sure. We will still continue on with last year's goals, the last 3-year goals, and continue to work on that.
Yeah, who is the wellness committee?
The wellness committee right now is, we have our PE teachers, we have myself, Lexi Aarons, one of our secretaries, and she does a lot of the staff wellness, Don Holthus. That really is so we'd also like to expand it out to add more. I would like to get Carlina on there. She would be a good representative, but then also looking at the hospital, getting maybe a pediatrician on it too. Just expanding it out into a number that is manageable, but also a number that is diverse.
How difficult is it to find a mental health therapist?
Very difficult.
Yeah, I mean,
Extremely
that was
difficult.
kind of my thought.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, because if the hospital has a 3-month waiting list and wanted to hire somebody, you might have a hard time finding somebody. I don't know.
And currently, Carlina has provisional, but the beautiful thing about this grant is we've been able to pay for the supervision hours. So she has a supervisor that she's doing basically all of her services through. We've been able to pay for those supervision hours, so that has been a great help to her, but it's also been a great help to us, because it's a benefit to us as well, so. Yeah, so we are working very closely with BCH to see if we can sustain this, because we do understand providing services in the school building where they can quickly meet with Carlina and get back in class rather than that commute is a huge benefit to our families.
She's helped a lot.
Mm-hmm, yes.
I think we've got some things in the works, so.
I think so too. Yep. Okay. That's it, thank you.
Next, we'll hear about technology needs from Mr. Alexander.
Okay, so, item number 4, really, it's 3 separate things, but they're all under the realm of technology, so we just put it under one item. And that's just talking about technology needs that are on the forefront and will be coming, as we start to close out this year and coming as we welcome in next year. It's hard to believe we're the first of March is next week, and we'll be talking about next year already, so. The first one, cybersecurity training, really is also about purchasing a product that helps us manage and prevent cybersecurity attacks. And we do have a lot of these that are going on. We do have cybersecurity insurance, so as a side note, but this no before cybersecurity would be for all BPS staff members. And that includes all certified, all classified, everybody. And basically, it's kind of a module training, and the first part of it is really pretty simple, where we just teach staff how to recognize phishing emails, and you've probably done this.
We do it.
We've used it before.
Oh, do you? Okay, so
Yeah.
you guys know a lot more about it than I do, then.
I don't watch the videos, so.
They're actually really.
I know, they're like interesting,
They are.
they left on a cliffhanger lately, so.
Every month we get random phishing
Yeah, we always do
emails.
too.
Yeah, we, to practice or?
Yeah, they give us phishing emails to practice, and then if I get an email like from my administrator I don't like, I just hit phishing.
Yeah.
Doesn't go through. And they're like, no, this is not phishing, this is real. Oh, okay.
Anyway, this product is designed to reduce social engineering risks by educating employees on identifying cyber threats. It is real. In the past, Well, December and January, there has been 2 emails that have been sent to staff by me that were not sent by me. So hackers get your information and then they send out emails and try and get staff to click on those emails and then they can open them up. And we're fortunate through the school system that we have good firewall, we have good protections, but unfortunately, we're in a position where we still need to do more training, get staff to recognize that. And so this training helps with that. The other thing that it does is, the software is a product that allows the tech staff to set up automatic classification of spoofed or malicious emails and the capability to delete these from all staff inboxes before they are opened. So a lot of times they can go in and pull those emails out before staff even see them. So there's some training now will take part, which sounds kind of crazy if we're talking about the end of the year. But with this product, it will train teachers how to pull those emails out, and then the rest of the training will take place next fall with all the staff. So it is a bit of a price shocker at $8,593 a year for 3 years, but it's one of those things that our technology people are saying we need to do this.
You might wanna check with the insurance, cause you may get a premium because you do this.
Okay? Good to know.
I think that was part of ours too.
They're pretty good. And
Yeah,
the phishing emails that come in that are really phishing, they usually catch me and I have to think,
yeah.
is this, like I got one just last week that was like, your Facebook, email has been changed. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I thought, oh wait, this is my school email, not my personal email. But it took me a minute to think, oh, this is fake. So they're not like you get one that says,
Well-
hey, you wanna go fishing? I mean, it's, they make you think, which is good.
The other thing, $8,000 compared to, it could be,
Mhm.
you know,
$8 million.
$8 million
Yeah.
that they're requesting to unlock all of our records.
Yep.
Ask the city about it.
Yeah. Yep. So far, we've been lucky. So that's the first part of that you'll see coming your way as we proceed.
I could be wrong, but I would check with insurance, cause there could be a break on the premium if you
Yeah,
do that.
definitely worth asking. Any questions about that? No before cybersecurity? Okay. The next part is about some things we need to purchase, and we can use E-rate reimbursement funding, federal reimbursement funding for it. We're in a need for a new firewall, some updated switches, and wireless access points. So all of these things are reimbursable through the federally funded E-rate program. ESU 5 has gone out to bid for this equipment on behalf of Beatrice Public Schools, and is approximately, we are looking at 218 wireless access points, a FortiGate firewall, and 43 network switches, which is about half of the switches in our district. Basically, those 43 all of our switches are reaching the point of being outdated or obsolete. So we're trying to get half of them replaced now with this round of E-rate funding, where it's an 80-20 split. We have to pay 20%, the E-rate funding pays for 80%. So the planning of it is that we have just over $300,000 in E-rate reimbursement. The wireless equipment would be about $52,000. After the E-rate is applied, it'd be about $10,400 for us, our cost. The firewall is about $36,000 after E-rate. So, and this is just estimates. We haven't gone out to bid on the firewall yet. And the switches would be about $15,500 after E-rate. So that would be coming out of the technology budget is where we'll be taking that.
A bad deal to get 80% of it.
Yeah. Any questions about that equipment? Okay. The last piece is Chromebooks. And basically, if you remember coming out of 2020 and pandemic, we made a big, move to go wireless across the district, bought Chromebooks for every grade level. We have Chromebooks now in the high school that are going home, middle school. So essentially, what we've done for the past couple of years is we've purchased new Chromebooks for the incoming freshmen, and then they have that device with them throughout their high school. That would stay the same for the coming year, but we're reaching a point where we need to purchase new Chromebooks for sixth grade as well. And that they stay with them as they go through middle school. So just because of the way the rotation is catching up with us, we need to replace 2 sets of them. Now, the tricky thing is the timing of this. Typically, we have held off and done this in May, and we've ordered about 150 to 160 Chromebooks for that incoming freshman class. But we are finding ourselves up against the current tariff situation where right now those Chromebooks are about we're estimating $450 a piece. And we would like to order them a little earlier because once those tariffs are fully in place, that price is gonna go up about $100 to $200 a Chromebook. So we may be coming to you earlier, like in March, to say, can we go ahead and get at least a majority of these Chromebooks ordered? I will be honest, I'm probably the one that's holding up the boat on this more than anybody, because I like to get further into the budget cycle before we order them and further down the road, but it's just one of those things where, you know, when you're talking about 300 devices, or 315 devices, and a difference of $200 a device, it's a difference. So we'll be coming to you a little earlier than we have in the past to approve those. Questions? Okay.
Next, we'll talk about Beatrice Police Department SRO request.
All right.
Hi there. If some of you don't know me, I'm Officer Brow. I am the school resource officer at the middle school. I've been there for a little over a year and a half-ish. So that's where I am at. I've been with the police department for almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years this year. So does everyone have this packet of information? Perfect, okay. So, this is something that I brought to Principal Hickey at the middle school sometime last year. It's something that I think would be beneficial in the middle school. I understand that the police department is very close in proximity. However, I don't want to say never, but I think that there is not many circumstances where I would ever leave the school if something were to be happening, like an active threat. So to have a safe within the school would provide me with even more resources if a threat were to have occurred or be occurring. So the idea would be to be using these Heyman rapid access fire safes. I initially approached Chief Murphy for the RAFS 2. I'm not sure what page of your packet it's on, but there's a picture, there's 2 pictures. After thinking about it, I think the RAFS 1 would be more beneficial. My assigned rifle will be the only rifle that will be in there, so it doesn't need to be containing many things. So I think the smaller the better, the more discreet it will be. These safes are geared towards safety and security, so they can be like for SROs in schools. So they are mounted to the wall and to the floor. So they will be drilled into wherever they are placed. My thought is my office, if I'm in there, 50-50 if I'm in there or not. If I'm roaming the halls, talking to a student, it kind of depends. But if I'm in there, then I have quick access to my rifle. This is something that does not have a key to it. I'm a defensive tactics instructor, so when we're under high-stress situations, keys are not usually our friend. They kind of hinder us more than they benefit us. So to access this safe, it will be a fingerprint or a key code access. So the only people who would have access to that are certified people at the police department who would have access. This would not be something that would be accessible to students. If a student were to ask me what it was, I would just say that it's equipment. If or when my rifle is placed in or taken out of, it would never be when students are around. I don't want to ever give them the idea of anything being in the school that they could have access to. And if they were to try and access it, it would be highly unlikely that they would be able to remove it from the school. I don't want to say it's never possible, but they would need heavy machinery in order to get those bolts out of the wall and the floor. And then they would have to have the correct code in order to access it as well. This is all information that I received from the company. So this Heyman sole source letter, their product specifications, that page. And this is the 2022 price schedule. That's what I received from them back in October of '24. So I'm not sure what their current price schedule is, but that's what I received from the company. Any questions that I can answer?
Where would it be located exactly?
So it'd be located in my office. I do currently, my working kind of way of doing things, I'm not currently in the school because I'm on maternity right now, but when I am in the school, my office door does remain open. Students are allowed to come in there. I have a fun little question of the week on there to kind of get more interactions with the kids, because sometimes I'm viewed as, scary and intimidating, and try to get that component of being accessible. So my current working process or way of doing things is to leave my door open.
Is there a camera on your office or that?
There is a
would
camera
be
on my
the-
office,
On the
yes.
safe at all times?
The camera would not specifically show where I think the safe should go, but it does show my office door and anyone who goes in or comes out.
And you're in uniform when you are on duty?
Yes.
So,
Has there been some type of threat that's bringing this to the forefront, like
No.
there's a need, like you see a need?
No, there has not been a specific threat that has brought this to the forefront. I like to be as prepared as possible, and this is a tool that is not in my tool belt when I'm at the school. I have this when I'm at the police department, I have this when I'm in my patrol car, patrolling the streets of Beatrice, but not when I'm at the school. So I like to have all tools accessible to protect those kids.
And if you're at liberty to speak, I'm just wondering, like, is there a protocol or situation where you're pulling it out of the safe, like?
Yeah, if there's an active threat,
Right.
if there is somebody in the school with a gun or a weapon and they are actively harming other students,
Okay.
I would pull it out and do what I need to do to protect the other students within that school.
Okay.
Like I said at the very beginning, the perception is that, oh, the police department's right there. I'm not going to receive a call like that and leave the building to go get a rifle and then come
Right.
back.
I would just, first of all, thank you for coming tonight to answer a lot of these questions, because, you're the expert, but, and the trained expert. I did talk to, because Courtney, you've been with us a couple of years.
Yes, sir.
I did talk to Officer Lowenstein, who was with us for a long time, and did ask him that very question. Have we ever had a situation? And he said the only time that I have worn a rifle into the building with the middle school, or any building here in Beatrice, was when they had the bank robbery, and they believed that the perpetrator was near the middle school, and we went into lockdown at the middle school. And he did go into that building with rifle strapped on shoulder, ready, at that point, because he said, no one's getting in this building on my watch. So, and that was before we had two SROs. So, he said that's been the one time where he felt like he normally kept, and I think it's probably safe to say that, when you say leave the building and go to the police department to get a rifle, there's rifles in the cars outside of the police department. And at the high school, there's a rifle in the car of our SRO out there now, so this would just be,
So would this be something that we would want to have at both the high school and the middle school?
ironically, there is a locker at the high school now. There's just not a rifle in it. It's an evidence locker that right now holds, whatever paraphernalia that is confiscated at the high school. It's locked in there, so that would be cleaned out. And it would need to be bolted down, so there is one out there. But yes, we'd be considering it for both buildings.
Does the rifle stay in there, or will you take it in and out every day?
No, the rifle, that would be its designated place. If I were ever to, like the first time I take it in there, it would always be when students are not in the building. And if I ever were to have to take it out or move it for any reason, it would always be a time when there are no students around. First of all, I don't need to scare them unnecessarily, and second of all, they don't need to know that it's there.
But you carry a sidearm every
Yes.
day then, right, also?
That's why the uniform, should, is there a maintenance schedule?
Maintenance for my sidearm or for my rifle? No, not necessarily a strict schedule. We maintain it when we do like firearms training and things like that. Those aren't necessarily on strict months, so it just kind of
But when it happens.
fluctuates. Yes, sir.
Who pays for this safe?
That's an answer above my pay grade.
That is a great question. We haven't worked that detail out with Chief Murphy yet. Like I said, there's already one at the high school, so
Who paid for that?
I don't know. Good question. I think typically what we've tried to do with most things is split costs.
I do, I don't know what the locker at the high school looks like. I'd be interested to see what that looks like. Makes me hesitant if it's just like a standard locker, because those can be broken into far easier than like something like this. Like this is 3/16 solid steel door. Like you need some heavy machinery to move or break into this, to where if you're in the process of doing that, someone would be alerted to that before you ever gained access to it. So I'd be interested to see what that locker looks like.
I think it's similar. I think the difference is it's older, so there was no biometric,
Okay,
and so it is key.
okay,
I do know that.
sounds good. And when I hear locker, all I could picture was like a school. Okay,
Let's think differently.
yes, yes.
To disguise it.
Yeah.
And what is the reason why we don't have a rifle in the high school then, but having one in middle school?
Currently, why don't we
Yeah.
have, well, I think if you recall, we did kind of start to
Right,
broach
start
this
talking about
topic a
it.
while back, and then I think we had a transition from our SROs, and it just kind of fell. The topic just kind of fell when we got new SROs, and so now it's come back up again. So
Okay.
that's the best answer I can give you.
Sounds like a good idea.
I'm on board with it.
I'll think about it.
Okay, well, basically,
Real quick, is there, are there any with a key backup also? Because I know there's a concern out there with, if a threat got in the building and they got to
The power?
got to the safe before you would get there, that there's a threat out there where someone could demolish with a hammer the access to it electronically, and then you wouldn't be able to get into it, if you had a backup key.
I wanna say that this has 2 keys.
Or also if the power went out and. you weren't
Right,
able to get to
right.
it.
But I researched so many of these.
Yes.
I don't wanna say yes or no because I'm not 100% certain, but something I could look into and get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you guys for your time, I appreciate it.
Is this something we vote on, or is?
Well, not right now.
No, but I'm just asking, is that why we're being given the presentation, because at some point we'll be asked to vote, or you just wanna give us the information?
I just want you to have the information.
Okay, all right.
And then I feel like if you feel like it's something you should vote on, then I can certainly be given that direction and have it on the agenda.
But then that makes it very public that we have one.
Yeah.
You know,
Which is, yeah.
I'm like thinking, yeah, I don't know. Thank you.
Connects to
thank you.
alarm
Thank you.
systems.
Courtney, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you guys for your
Thank
time, I
you.
appreciate it.
Now Mr. Alexander will give us a quick legislative update.
Quick is the key word.
She
I picked up on that. So just a couple of things. Today, LB 1050, which is the third grade reading proficiency bill, had an amendment that was attached to it last week, AM 1298. It was being supposedly, and we don't know this, but supposedly is being heard in executive session today. Dr. Nielsen asked a very good question. Why is that being talked about in executive session? And I don't know the answer to that question either, so. But basically, and I'm not gonna read the entire bill to you, but beginning in the 27-28 school year, each school district shall provide an intensive acceleration class for any student identified as having a persistent reading deficiency and retained in grade in third grade. So, any student that is identified as not being able to read at the third grade level would have to be held back. There's a lot of things in this that I can send you.
There's a caveat for special education. If you have an IEP, you would not be held back, because you have a reading disability, and so you would not, and you're receiving other services.
Yep, and the amendment did include some other exclusions that are also in there.
They can also take summer school, and then if they pass the assessment at the end of summer school, they can then move on to fourth grade, but, yeah, there's a lot of things.
And how many years do you hold them back? It says
1 year, it says, just
Okay.
one.
Something, otherwise you could have somebody who's not reading like for 3 years, and then you've got a 10-year-old and, or 11-year-old in third grade.
It was interesting to watch the initial hearing on this bill, because this was proposed by the governor, or at the governor's request, and the day that it was proposed in hearing, one of the expert person who was supposed to be there couldn't be there. The governor's aide presented the bill, and one of the senators asked a very legitimate question, and that is, where are we supposed to put, most of our classrooms in the state of Nebraska are already full of third graders. Most of our teachers are already teaching a full load of third graders. We don't necessarily have enough money to hire the amount of specialists that it's gonna take to work with these kids. So it's not that the concept is not understandably an honorable or a good concept. It's the fact that how do we manipulate all those other factors that come along with it? And that is where do we work with them? Who do we hire to work with them? How do we, the idea is that obviously when they start in preschool or kindergarten, by the time they get to third grade, they would all be reading at proficiency level. I mean, in utopia, that's what we'd like to see, but we don't live in utopia. And a lot of those factors sometimes are out of our control. So as this bill goes, and right now we don't know until it comes out of the committee with the amendment in executive session that was heard today, we won't really know, but just thought it was worth updating you all. Okay.
Yeah, and you see that amendment online, because I'd be interested in seeing that too.
Okay.
Get an update.
LB 653, on February 17th, it did pass first round of debate, and it contains multiple factors, just to bring you up to speed on. The first one deals with option students, and basically what it says is anytime an option application is presented to a school, that application cannot be turned down if there are siblings of students, the student applying for option in that school already. So, typically, that's not an issue for us anyway. K2 suspension, if you recall a couple of years ago, kindergarten through second grade suspension, there was a bill passed that would not allow students in kindergarten through second grade to be suspended. Since that time, the legislature has heard from multiple sets of, I think, parents and concerned citizens that there are certain times where kids do need to be removed from classrooms at that age. I mean, nobody wants to. I can tell you right now, one of our elementary principals is not real excited about ever having to remove kids in kindergarten through second grade. But there are times where there needs to be a separation for multiple reasons. One of the exceptions to this right now is if there's a deadly weapon brought to school, then you can. But now they are adding in the fact that if there's physical harm or violent harm that this student is showing to themselves or others, then suspension can be utilized. So we'll see, that did pass first round debate, we'll see if it continues. There were also two other parts to that bill on short-term and long-term suspension that require principals to do an extra bit of work. It adjusts the Student Discipline Act a little bit. Principals will have to show what they have done prior to implementing a suspension of either short-term or long-term before they suspend. So there are some things that create a little more explanation on the administrator's part before they can suspend kids. So that's in there. And I will send this all to you so you can read it, but those are kind of the ones that are on the docket right now. I did send the update to you that 1219 that Senator Brandt presented in the I think it was the Revenue Committee last week, came out, which is a very concerning bill in the area of finance, that would present a 2% cap growth plus real growth on schools starting in January of 2027. Was not anticipating that bill would come out of committee, and it came out on a 6-1, one no vote exchange. So it's interesting. The times are interesting right now. Talked to Senator Dorn about that last Thursday morning at Norris, and the impact that would have on schools, 2% growth. The interesting thing about that is the week before the legislature passed a bill, I can't remember the number, but it increases minimum wage 1.75% each year. So I'm not a terrific mathematician, we have a former math teacher here, but when you have when you have a bill passed one week that says for the next 5 years, minimum wage of your employees has to be 1.75% greater than it was the year before that, and then there's a bill presented that says you have a cap of 2%, it doesn't math out. Especially when you've got, with minimum wage, you're just talking about your class level. You're not talking about your teachers, and you're not talking about your administrative staff. You're not talking about, other staff that are involved as well. So that bill is really concerning what's gonna happen with this 1219, so we're keeping an eye on that. We have a stance meeting on Thursday, and I'll keep you posted as to what we learned there. That's kind of the latest.
Is that it?
That's it. Exciting times.
She's gonna flip that paper open and say, just one
Yeah.
more thing.
That is all I have.
Well, since there are no people, I guess there's no time for comments. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.